Welcome to Fighting Stats, the ultimate channel for MMA fans who love statistics and betting breakdowns. I'm your host, Art C, and I'm here to get you ready for the upcoming UFC fights. In this series, I'll be watching tape and providing my real-time analysis on how I think the fights are going to go. I'll be watching for fighters' strengths, weaknesses, tendencies, and overall strategies, pairing that with Fighting Stats' exclusive UFC stats not available anywhere else to give you a prediction on how I think the fights are going to go and ultimately who's going to win. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome to Fighting Stats. Welcome back to Fighting Stats, your ultimate source for exclusive and in-depth MMA statistics. I'm your host, Art C, and today we are breaking down the co-main event of UFC 296 between Alexandre Pantoja and Brandon Royval. Pantoja, the current champion of the division at 120 pounds. These guys actually fought a couple of fights ago, so this will be a rematch. So if you missed it, we did tape most of the Pantoja side. We also taped the Brandon Royval side. Just to get you caught up if you missed it, let's do some quick recap there. Alexandre Pantoja, one of these BJJ aces on the ground, but does package that as well with some decent striking. We watched the Askarov fight. That fight was very close. It was 1-1 going into the third. Askarov being a little bit more busy, had an extended top time there, able to win a unanimous decision there. Then he takes on Manel Kape. Kape, known as a pretty good striker there, but I think that was more Manel Kape giving that fight away. Very lack of volume from Kape. Pantoja able to land there and win a unanimous decision. Then we talked about the Brandon Royval fight. That fight was also pretty close. We saw a lot of scrambling early in that fight. Pantoja coming forward looking to grapple, actually finding the submission in round number 2 by rear naked choke. But again, that round 1 was very close. Pantoja then goes on to fight Alex Perez, also finding a rear naked choke, a back-to-back RNCs in round number 1, and then takes on the champion, the current champion at the time, Brandon Moreno, winning a very close split decision. First 5-round fight there. Worth noting that Pantoja also did not get finished. He's never been finished in his UFC career. Now we go over to the Brandon Moreno side. A bag of mixed results there. We did start the tape around the Kai Kara-France side. That fight pretty close as well. Kai Kara-France seeing some top time in round number 1, but Brandon Royval finding the guillotine choke after the Kai couldn't deal with the forward pressure. Chokes out Kai Kara-France in round 2. Then he takes on the champion Brandon Moreno. Not at the time, but he did take on Brandon Moreno. He actually pops out his shoulder at the end of round 1. I think it was somewhat of a reoccurring injury. As soon as he pops up, his coach right away knows how to put it back into place. Coach looking at the camera saying, hopefully they don't find out about this, but shoulder injury there has to stop that fight. Would have been interesting to see how that fight was going on. Looked like Moreno was winning round number 1, but that happens to him. So then we talked about the Pantoja rematch. Again, he got controlled more there, lost by rear naked choke. Then he takes on Rodrigo Bontorin, winning a very close split decision. I thought Bontorin sort of edged that fight out, but again, it was very close. And then took on Matt Schnell, got dropped in that fight actually early, ended up finding a guillotine, tapping out Matt Schnell with a one-armed guillotine. And then most recently, we saw Mateus Nicolau landing a very nice knee up the middle, catching Nicolau, dropping him, and then finishing up with some punches. So if you missed it, go into the link below, get caught up on all that fight tape. You'll be, see what I saw sort of thing. But let's get into the actual breakdown here. So we saw Alexandre Pantoja. We saw him. He likes to open up orthodox. Brandon Royval is going to enter in southpaw. Brandon Royval has that very long stance in southpaw. We saw him throw that left high kick a lot. We're going to go over to our fighting stats, striking tendencies, just because we're going to talk about the tendencies of both fighters here. I want to show it in the visual here. So here's how they match up there. 62 single strike rate for Alex Pantoja, 67 for Brandon Royval. Right away, the jab making a difference, 18% there from Pantoja, only 8% for the jab. So overall striking tendencies, right away I wanted to point out the 9%, the highest rated or the most frequent attack from Brandon Royval is that rear low kick. Again, he stands in southpaw. He likes to throw that rear low kick. Sometimes he goes high with it, but he's throwing that left leg kick. Against an orthodox fighter. Again, that side's going to be open, so both guys going to have to watch out for the left hand and that left kick. Royval likes to throw it. Then coming up, he likes to throw this pop jab. He likes to pop the jab. Then 6% he throws the jab, single jab, and then he does throw the counter right hook a lot as well. On the Pantoja side, 16% of his overall strikes by that single jab, and then 9% the 1-2. He also likes that rear low kick as well at 5%, and then 5% and 4% for the left hook and the right cross there as well. So decent. You can tell by these circles here, decent mixing up of strikes. Both guys, mix up their variety of strikes coming forward a little bit. So that's worth noting. We talked about Brandon Royval. He's going to be in southpaw. He's going to pop that kick. He's going to want to keep distance a little bit. I think the matchup here, if we go to the tail of the tape, the actual reach is probably about the same, I think I remember, and then the actual height is going to be a little bit higher for Royval. So yeah, 4 inches of height advantage for Royval, but only 1 inch of reach advantage. Again, Royval in southpaw, Pantoja in orthodox. Worth noting again, Pantoja has never been finished in the UFC. Royval has a couple of losses, never lost by decision, but has lost 50% of his losses by TKO and 50% by submission. So again, on the feet, it's going to be pretty even. I think Royval more of the volume striker, not a ton of power in his hands, but he does throw more volume. Throws that 1-1-2 he likes to throw. Again, he's going to mix up those knees up the middle. If Pantoja is not careful, he could get caught with a knee coming in up the middle, or he get caught with the left high kick again that we talked about. On the Pantoja side, he has this like reckless way of coming in where he throws like these like 1-2s head up in the air. He hasn't really fought a striker that's been able to capitalize on that striking defense of Pantoja, but I just think it's a matter of time before he gets caught. He does like to dip his head a little bit, so again, that right knee from Royval is definitely up there, definitely possible to land. But the grappling defense from Brandon Royval, definitely an Achilles heel from Royval. One, it's okay, so one of it is the spin. So he commits to the right hand sometimes, or he gets off balance, and then he'll like to throw the spinning back elbow. He landed against Kai Kara-France, actually dropped Kai Kara-France in that fight, but he also threw it against Moreno, gave up his back. I think he threw it against Bontarine, gave up his back. So he's throwing these like unorthodox strikes where he gives up his back, sort of like the Shevchenko fight. Spins, right away gives up his back. Now he spends the rest of the round sort of defending the rear naked choke, defending the ground game. Royval, very slippery on the ground, very hard to keep control of him on the ground. Very busy, always attacking different submissions, things like that. If we go over to our fighting stats time breakdown, or our ground chart here, we're going to start here with the on top here on the blue. We have Pantoja, so 59% of his fights will be standing, and whereas 24% will be on the ground, 12% in the clinch. We go to the top time. 75% of Alex Pantoja's ground time has been on back mount. So he likes that backpack. He's very good at keeping that backpack. It shows up in the stats here. When he is on bottom, he's mostly able to gain 51% of the time. He's able to keep half guard, 11% of the time full guard, 28% in side control. So not a lot of front mount, back mount given up there. On the Brandon Royval side, the one thing that really stood out for me, and I wanted to highlight it here, 52% of Brandon Royval's fight time in the times that we taped him was spent on the ground. So only 42% of the time standing. You can go back and watch that. He spends a lot of time off his back. Now he's busy off his back. He's attacking submissions. He's attacking elbows. All this thing. He's like omoplatas. And then he goes to a leg lock. He'll do various things. He'll tap a couple of arm bars and stuff. He has various submissions and various sweeps to get back up. But again, it's a lot of time off of his back. So against a heavy grappler like Pantoja, I feel like he's going to give up some of these rounds, early. It's going to be, Brandon Royval trying to fight from behind. If he gives up rounds 1 and 2 early because of the grappling exchanges, then he's going to have to come back and win the later rounds. We're just going over the top time here. Brandon Royval on top time, 67% is in side control. He likes that side control as well, but he does right away try to step over into mount. Guys tend to be able to defend it. We haven't seen prolonged time in full mount, so he'll stay in side control, trying to set up that transition to mount. And again, here in the back time, so Brandon Royval on the bottom, you see here 56% of his time on the bottom is spent in back mount as well. That comes through the fight tape as well. A lot of the time he's defending chokes. Pantoja able to get the rear naked choke eventually and choke him out. So definitely a grappling. And I don't want to say disadvantage, because Royval knows how to defend. He knows how to scramble. He's very slippery off his back, but he gives up too much bottom time. And to the judges, against Pantoja, who's never been submitted, never been knocked out, you're giving up these minutes and giving up these rounds. It's going to need a big moments for Royval to come back and win some of these rounds. And we talked about Royval not really being a puncher or a heavy puncher. So for Royval to win rounds, he's going to have to keep the fight standing. He's going to have to pop volume. He might have to catch a guy coming in with a knee or whatnot. But we've seen Royval get clipped a couple of times as well. So he does get countered. He does keep his head up a little bit. He throws these the left high kick, but he comes in a little bit too close in striking distance, and that's where he can get countered. So again, it's going to be hard for Royval to win rounds if he gets knocked down, because right away you get knocked down once, it's very hard to win that round back. Then again, it's also very hard to win a round 2 minutes, 3 minutes off of your back in back mount. So I'm having a hard time seeing where Brandon Royval will win extended minutes in this fight. One thing we did note is Pantoja does seem to slow down a little bit into rounds 3, 4, and 5. We saw it in the Moreno fight more recently because it's been a 5-round fight, but even before that, against Askarov, a couple of fights there where he slowed down ever so slightly in round 3. It's noticeable in the tape where it looks like the punches are coming just a tad slower, lower output here. Let's go actually into the striking offense here. Maybe it will show up in the numbers here. So on the blue side we have Alexandre Pantoja. On the red side we have Brandon Royval. So I just wanted to take a look at the striking, just see if the numbers match what we're saying here. Against Brandon Moreno in round 1, 28 strikes landed, 33 strikes landed in round 2, and then it sort of drops off in round 3. See, 23 strikes, 20 strikes, and 25 strikes. So round 3 and 4 and 5, not as much as round 1 and 2. That was evident in the Moreno fight. In the Royval fight, same thing. 13 strikes landed in round 1, 9 strikes landed around round 2. Manel Kopp 25, 29, and 20. Round 3 tends to be his lowest rounds in terms of strikes landed. About the same against the Figueiredo there. So I just think it's a volume thing. I think it's a power thing. Okay, so let's go over this. So in round 1, let's break this down. Orthodox versus Southpaw, a lot of striking, a lot of grappling. I think Royval will be able to scramble a little bit, keep it dirty. It's going to be very hard to score because there's going to be a lot of transitions. It's going to be very similar, I think, to the first fight. Go back and watch round 1 between Royval and Pantoja. It was back and forth. Pantoja in on a takedown, got the takedown, but it was back and forth, very grappling heavy. If Pantoja does this in a 5-round fight, he's going to have to find that finish pretty early in round 1 or round 2, because I do think that the forward pressure of Brandon Royval in rounds 3, 4, and 5 will eventually catch up to Pantoja. Again, Pantoja in the Moreno fight able to sit back a little bit in rounds 3, 4, and 5, actually able to find a takedown and ride out top control. That's not out of the question here for Pantoja as well, but I think if Royval able to scramble, if he's able to get back to his feet, the forward pressure is going to add up. You're going to see a very gassed Pantoja by the end of the 5 rounds. I think that's Royval's best path to victory. Is he's going to have to create scrambles, create grappling heavy exchanges early, deal with defending the bottom time, defending the chokes from Pantoja. Pantoja's probably going to have one round where he spends the whole round on his back, trying to set up the rear naked choke. Royval's going to defend. It's going to be on the neck a little bit. I think Royval should be able to defend the choke. I'm not confident in it. I think Pantoja could probably find the rear naked choke, and I think if he does finish Royval, it's probably by submission rear naked choke. But if he doesn't, again, I think Royval could take over in rounds 3, 4, and 5, win a close decision. Again, Pantoja has never been finished, but he's only gone a 5-round fight once against Moreno, and again, the lower volume for Moreno in those later rounds. I think Royval could find a finish late if Pantoja is completely gassed. He can't find those takedowns anymore. Decent takedown defense from Royval. I think he could win those 3, 4, 5 rounds, win a decision, or he could find a late finish as well. I think for Pantoja, again, the submission probably comes early. The knockdown's pretty alive as well. Again, Royval's been knocked down a couple of times. So definitely possible. Let's, rather than say it's possible, let's go through the actual numbers. Try to get some pen to paper, get some actual numbers here, and get some best bets here. So pulling up our handy dandy calculator here, we have Alexandre Pantoja in the blue, Brandon Royval here in the red. So what I like to do is I like to go through the methods of victories, try to put down the percentage of chances that I think that will end up, add it up to 100, and sort of give us our best props. So starting with Pantoja to win by knockout. We've seen Royval get rocked a bunch of times. We've seen him get dropped a couple of times. Pantoja does throw these blitzes. We've actually seen him get into these firefights early where he likes to sit down on his mouthpiece, throw some big hooks and stuff. Definitely possible for Pantoja to win by knockout. So we're going to leave it as a placeholder, 15%. It's possible he gets some ground and pound in there. Again, Royval very hard to hold, though, so if you are ground and pounding, Royval's probably going to get up. If the ground and pound comes, it's probably from like a mounted crucifix or like a back mount sort of thing, but definitely possible. So we're going to leave it at that. Pantoja to win by submission, obviously live because the first fight happened by submission. I think it's around 20 to 25%. 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 chances. Let's go 20% for now and see if we need to adjust. It could go up to 25. Pantoja to win by decision. For Pantoja to win by decision, it's going to have to be, again, rounds 1, 2, and maybe like a 4 if he takes round 3 off. 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 3, something like that. But he's going to have to bank a couple of early rounds to win a decision. I just don't see him winning, rounds 3, 4, and 5 if he loses those first 2. But I do think it's possible. Royval pretty slick. We might see some heavy grappling. I'm going to leave that at 10% for now. Seems a little bit low, but I'm going to leave it at 10% just because I think if it goes to decision, it might be Royval. Let's leave it at 15%. Let's go for 15. Royval by TKO. Now we move on to the other side. Brandon Royval to win by knockout. Again, he doesn't have one-punch KO power. If the knockout does come standing, it's probably going to be by a knee or a high kick. If it comes from the ground, it's some sort of setup in terms of ground and pound. It's going to be very hard to ground and pound Pantoja. So I'm going to put it at about 10%. Again, it's going to come from a knee, high kick, or it could come from war of attrition, rounds 3, 4, and 5, where Royval just takes over, and a cardio dump for Pantoja. So we'll leave it at 10% for now. Royval to win by submission. You know what? It's not out of the question. Royval has a nasty guillotine, so if Pantoja does shoot for a takedown, leaves his neck out there, I think Royval can submit him again, especially in the later rounds if Pantoja is completely gassed and again shoots in a lazy takedown, leaves his neck out there. Royval can put in a guillotine, so I don't think it's very likely. We're going to leave it at 10-15% as well. Yeah, okay. And then Royval to win by decision. I think it's probably his best path to victory. I want to say it's about 20% to 25%. We'll say 25%. So where are we at here? 50% on the Pantoja side, 45 on the Royval side. So we are short 5%. Let's see where we want to add it. We talked about the Pantoja sub being 20-25%. Let's give that, yeah, let's go Pantoja sub. Just how good Pantoja is on the ground. Royval just extended bottom time, 5 rounds. Pantoja probably finds the submission there. So I think that sounds about right. Let's read it out just to recap here. Alex Pantoja to win by TKO 15%, win by submission 25%, and win by decision 15% for a total money line of 55% or -122. On the Brandon Royval side, 10% to win by TKO, 10% to win by submission, and 25% to win by decision for a total money line of 45% or +122 or better. Sorry. So let's compare the actual money lines here. So the odds are out. The current odds are -170 for Pantoja. We said that we cap Pantoja around 55% or -122. Odds aren't close enough for us to take the Pantoja side. Whereas on the Royval side, again, we have him around 45%. Current odds about 140. You plug that into the 8th Kelly criterion calculator. It tells us about 0.7 units or 0.7% of our bankroll. Not a bad play there. So maybe Royval money line. I know that line's come down a little bit. I would have liked to get a little bit earlier. So we'll watch it. We're not in a rush. I don't think it gets past much lower. I can't see the fight being even. If it does get even, then we'll start to take the Pantoja side. So I think the odds are pretty much around there. Again, the odds for the props aren't out yet, but if I did have to line them, again, the Pantoja win by TKO probably around 550 plus 550, win by submission plus 300, win by decision plus 550 around there. If they come up with those numbers, I'm not racing to bet them, but anything off there, then I'll probably take a stab. On the Royval side, TKO plus 900, sub probably plus 900, and win by decision plus 300. I think that side's going to be a little bit different. I can see it being probably lower on the TKO sub side and then higher on the decision side, being a 5-round fight. But again, you have to consider Pantoja's never been finished. Likeliness of it going to decision probably a little bit higher than not. We said that the fight to go to decision only at 40% or plus 150, not to go to decision at 60% or minus 150. We might be able to get a line there depending on it. I think it probably opens around even. If I had to take a guess, over 4.5, minus 120-ish, something like that. So we'll keep an eye on those lines. That's where I think I have the line set based on my rough calculations, based on what we've seen, give or take 5% there. Nothing currently standing out. Again, I think Pantoja, the slight favorite, makes sense. Royval coming on that side, but if that line goes in either direction, be sure like and subscribe. Be sure to get notified if we do make a play. Right now, I'm gonna sit on it a little bit. I'm gonna watch the odds a little bit closer. Let's take a look here. FightOdds.io is where I go for my current fight odds. Let's take a look at the next week, UFC 296, December 15th. Pantoja here. So Pantoja, worth noting, he opened minus 260. So there was a lot of money coming in on the the Royval side. Brandon Royval opened up plus 200. So you might see some plus 200 there. Looked like it only stood there for a second. Got to plus 170 for a bit. Now plus 140, where it's currently standing. So you'll see some lines plus 160 down to plus 140. That's the lowest it's been. I can't imagine it getting much lower. Maybe it will. Then it seems to be that side where all the money is on. But yeah, I seem to agree right now. I think the odds were a little bit inflated at the opener. I think right about where it is right now makes sense. But yeah. Let me know if I missed anything. I think I covered most of the stuff. Be sure to join our Patreon team. We do have all of our stats. We've collected everything that you've seen here in the dashboard. It's available on our Patreon. We provide these reports. Again, we have offensive striking versus defensive striking. We have all the time differences that we talked about, and then we have the striking tendencies as well. So you'll get a copy of this for this fight and the other fights on the card as well if you join our Patreon. Patreon, not only will you get our stats package, you will also get my best bets package, combining my most confident plays with the shoot for the moon parlays that we like to do. Hopefully we'll hit one of these coming up. But again, very worth it. Less than $1 a day, less than a coffee a day to get all of this information, all of this stuff. You know, we're spending the time doing the research and the tape for you so that you don't have to. So it's more of a saving your own time. Take our word for it. We've seen the tape. You don't have to do it. You can go back and watch it if you do. But it's all available to you. Let us know what we can do better. If you have any recommendations for improvements, always looking to improve and get better. But again, my name is Art C. This is Fighting Stats. Hope you enjoyed the show. Let me know what you think below. Thanks for watching. Okay, guys, well, that is it for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you smash the like button, hit the subscribe, and you'll get notified anytime we put out new content. Again, my name is Art C. You can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Electrocute. This is Fighting Stats, the ultimate source for exclusive and in-depth MMA statistics and best bets. We'll see you guys at the window.